Hello and welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Ellie, I am from Austria and this is episode number 49. Hello, I'm so glad you could join me once again. I hope you're all doing really well. I thought I would give you a podcast episode where I talk about my recent finished objects and my whips that I have going on. Bear in mind, I don't have that much, but I thought it's still, you still deserve to see what I'm working on at the moment, and I have some finished objects. So let's get straight into it. And the first finished object is actually what I'm wearing. This is my sweater number 9 light by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I knit this in Drops Daisy in this really light beige colour. I can't remember the colour code or the colour name. I have everything in the description down below and on my Ravelry page if you would like to have some more information. I love this thing. I only blocked it a few days ago and it's finally dry, so this is the first time actually me wearing it, but it's so nice. I think that the fit is really good. I can't remember right now what size I made. I think I made the smallest one, XS if I'm not mistaken, either XS or S, but I didn't want the amount of ease that the pattern recommended, so I went for the smaller one. And it fits really well. You have some short rows in this pattern, which makes the fit so much better than when I made this pattern before with the regular version. I don't own this sweater anymore. I've talked about this here before. I made this in the petite. No, I made this in from the petite. What did I make this in? I have the yarn in my head, but I can't recall it right now. It's We Are Knitters, the petite wool, I think it was called. I made it in that, which was way too thick. Obviously, I didn't really understand the gauge yet. But I really liked the sweater, so I wanted to make another version because I don't have the other one anymore. And the other one, what annoyed me a lot was that because it didn't have any short rows, it would constantly ride up and just sit in a really funny way. So I'm really glad that the designer fixed this in this pattern. Like I said, the fit is great. I don't have too much ease. My armpit is down here, so I have this much added material under the arms. So also not too wide on the body, which I like. The neck looks absolutely beautiful. It's a really nice height as well, and of course the increases and the raglan stitches, which is just the highlight of this sweater, looks absolutely gorgeous. I really enjoyed working with the yarn. This is the first time, not the first time using the yarn, but the first time finishing something and then blocking it. So I'm really interested to see how this holds up. It is very soft, and I do actually have some leftovers. I have a whole ball left over, and then another one where I only used I had the cuff left to do, where I had, I don't know, I needed like that much from the new ball, so it's still very new. I didn't use a lot. The only thing that is annoying to me is I made it too cropped. So I don't like to go back and rip things out again. So I'm gonna try blocking it again. The body is shorter than expected, but the sleeves are definitely too short. They are, if I hold it up, they are bracelet length or like wrist length, but I don't like it when my sweaters do this, where I have this gap in between my arm and the sweater, because I get cold really easily and I like to have my pulse points on the wrist nice and warm. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna block it again. I know I have some more stretch left in the sleeves. Obviously it will make it more fitted around the arms, but because I don't mind that, I think it will be a good idea to do that instead of having to rip all of this out, because the rib was the most time-consuming part in my opinion. I did not enjoy making this 2x2 rib for the cuff because of the circumference and just the needle size is really small, and I don't like to have like all of those fiddly things, and it's also quite a long ribbing section that I had to really take my time and spend like a whole evening just on one side for the rib. Apart from that, I didn't do any modifications apart from for the cuff. I used 3.5mm needles instead of the 4mm that she recommends in the pattern, just because I wanted a tighter fit and not as loose and baggy if it as it would have been if I hadn't sized down. It's not a huge like adjustment, but it's one that I just felt like was right for me. So yeah, I'm really happy with this piece, and that is my one and only sweater, like finished sweater object. And then I have another one, and that is a sock. Ta-da! It's really nothing special. It's just a plain old vanilla sock. My brother asked me, I told this story in my latest videos where I talk about all of my whips, but my brother asked me in October time if I could make some socks, or a pair of socks for a friend of his, because her grandma died, and he said it would just be something, it would just be really nice to gift some socks to her, because she always got hers from her grandma, which now passed away. So I said, yeah, sure, I can definitely do that. I do have some sock yarn at home, so I don't need to go and buy some. And then I left this sock for 3 months now, I think. I knit till about here, so I already knit the majority of the sock. I already turned the heel and everything, but the foot for me is always what takes me the longest, and which is the most unenjoyable thing out of this whole process. I'm not a huge sock knitter in the first place, but that just made it this extra step more time consuming and painful to work on in a sense than it's with other things. So I left it, and now I finally came back to it because I already feel really bad, even though that he said I have, you know, all the time in the world and I can make them and finish them whenever I see fit and whenever I can do it. But it's been a while. October has already been a while. So I finished the first sock. This is a size 39. I use for my vanilla socks, I use the Crazy Sock Ladies video tutorial, and that brings me into whips. I have already started on the second sock because second sock syndrome is very real, and I have to cast on the second one immediately, otherwise I'm just not gonna get around to doing it. So this is the second one. I think it kind of matches, which is completely accidental. That was not the intention, and they kind of look the same on the top. I mean, down here you have some like weird color pooling going on, but yeah. Oh Jesus, that was very loud. I'm sorry. So yeah, I'm just steadily working on this. I will have to count how many rounds I knit for the first one, but I like to do that anyways. I know a lot of people keep track on like what they did on the first sock, but I just find that too much of a hassle, so I'm just always counting. So that also means I need this in my bag, so I know when to do what and can't just work on it when I have the time. So that is my first whip. Let's see how we're getting on with this sock. The yarn is Schachenmayer Regia, Mountains and Fjords. I showed this many times now as well. It's a really beautiful blue yarn, and I'm pretty sure I can get another pair out of this once I finish with this one, and potentially even a third one. We'll see, because I have some leftovers from the first ball that was gifted or just handed to me by my mum. So we'll see how we're gonna get on with this project. Right, you already saw the sock. I don't think I cast this on last time, so it's something new. I cast on the Sibling sweater adult size by Laura Penrose. I think she changed her name. I can't remember if it used to be Penrose Knits and now it's Laura Penrose, or the other way around. But she's the designer behind this beautiful drop shoulder sweater, and this is what I have so far. I get the needles out. Ta-da! So I already finished with the back panel. It has these really cool increases and like this slanted edge on the back with the increases, of course. And then I picked up for the shoulders left and right, and yesterday evening I connected them and joined them together. So now what I have to do is, here we go. Now what I have to do is knit until I have the same length in the front as I do in the back. For the yarn, I'm using Filcolana Peruvian Highland wool. This is colour 973 and this is colour number 101. It's like the off-white and it's like a chocolate brown but a little bit heathered, so it's not as saturated and a bit grayer. And together it makes this beautiful fabric. I really enjoy working with the yarn. I've had this yarn in my stash for a while now as well, because I originally wanted to make a striped sweater with it, but my own design, and then just never got round to it. So I thought I might as well use it for this beauty, and I need a striped sweater in my wardrobe anyways because I don't have one. So this fabric, and I posted this on Instagram as well, I thought brown and white would be a good combination, and I didn't realize that this is actually the color combination of the Kinder chocolate, the Kinderriegel. So every time now I'm working on this, I can't help but think of chocolate. It's just a funny side fact, I guess. I didn't intend it to look like this, but it makes me crave chocolate every time I look at it now, which is kind of bad because I don't always have chocolate in my house, which I know is a tragedy. And I will try to get better at that, because whenever I tell myself, oh, I'm not gonna be hungry in the evening, or I'm not gonna crave chocolate late at night, it's a lie. I'm just lying to myself, and I always want something sweet. So working on this has been kind of fun in that aspect. The pattern, I'm having a little trouble with the pattern. I'm making size 2, and I found it very difficult to read and to understand what she's trying to say. Now this might just be me problem. I've never worked with any of her other patterns before, and nobody else seemed to have that problem, but I am very confused quite some time. When was the first issue? So picking up or like making the increases was completely fine, but then you knit to a certain length, and because you are switching colors on the wrong side of the fabric, here you can see I'm twisting the yarn every other row, so the other color is getting carried along the way, and I don't have any like ends to weave in or like shorten that to a very minimal amount. I already wove in the other ones that were just floating around, so I'm really happy that I got that out of the way as soon as I could. But she tells you to knit to a certain amount of rows, and I've had this trouble with the front and the back because she gives you a number and that number doesn't always match up with where you are with carrying the yarn. So I don't know if I'm on the correct row for when I ended on the back panel, because you're supposed to end on a wrong side row, but then she said something like it's row number 44, but if you're changing colors after like 8 rows, you're in the middle of a stripe. I don't know if I'm being clear at all, but that was just very confusing. And then the same thing happened on the front. The pattern said knit like instead of the 8 row repeat, knit 7 rows and then change colors, and then knit another 7 rows for the next color. But then it wouldn't add up with when I had to change yarn, because I would finish the right side row, but the yarn that I'm supposed to work with next is on the other side. I've no idea if that's just super confusing to everyone else apart from me, but that's just a little trouble that I had. So I kind of made up the increases or like the best that I could. I'm sure it's not, I'm just off by 1 or 2 rows, but I made sure to match it on either side, so it would fit on where I'm carrying the yarn and where I am in the chart essentially. So yeah, that was mind-boggling, and I almost gave up on this project, I have to say, which is not a nice feeling when a pattern makes you super frustrated, and so frustrated that you feel like you can't comprehend it, and it just kind of makes you feel stupid. But I then just changed it how I thought would work, and let's hope that it all turns out okay in the end. So yeah, I'm steadily working on this. I have a lot of purling to do to match the back to the front now, so it's gonna take a while, but like I said, I'm really enjoying working on this project, because for all the stripes you kind of just want to get to the next stripe. That is like the nature of working with stripes. It's the same with socks, it's the same with sweaters and shirts and everything, is that it makes you excited to work on it because you want to finish one section so you can change colors. Yeah, apart from that, really happy with how it's turning out, apart from obviously that it's reminding me of Kinder chocolates. I guess it's a happy accident, but I'm not too mad about it. Let's see how the rest of the sweater turns out. And then I have one more whip to show you. That is something that I also only cast on over the past couple of days. I'm trying to stash bust and get rid of large quantities of yarn in a really short amount of time. That is what I am trying to do at the moment, and I've had this drops air in my yarn stash for God knows how many months. I think it's been a year or a year and a half, I really can't remember. But this is Drops Air. This is the colour, I don't know, beige, neutral, I have no idea, but it's a really, oh, it might be wheat actually. It's this really nice light beige colour. It looks a little bit speckled, and it's really nice to work with. I've worked with Drops Wish, which is just a thicker yarn before for a sweater, but I didn't like how the sweater wore, so I actually donated the sweater and got rid of it. But then I bought lots of this in loads and loads of different colours because I wanted to make a colourwork sweater, which I don't want to do anymore. So I'm left with all of this yarn. Long story short, I'm making the Sophie shawl. I looked through some... Oh, it's getting really dark. The light is just constantly changing now. I looked through some patterns for this yarn, and I saw that someone made the Sophie shawl by Petiteknit with only 3 skeins of Drops Air, and I have 4 in total. So for the, I think it's the medium size, it's definitely not the largest. I really wanted to make the largest one, but I don't think I have enough yarn, so I'm making the medium one. And this is how much I've got so far. I made the Sophie scarf before, and even back then I said that it's not a mindless pattern. You do have to constantly think on what row you are because of the increases. So you work a certain amount of rows and then you increase, and then the whole cycle starts again until you have like a certain width, and then you decrease for the other side. And I only have the pattern for the Sophie scarf, so the smaller version, but I thought, how different can the shawl actually be than the scarf, because the techniques are the same and it's just the size that's different. And yeah, so I'm just using the Sophie scarf's pattern for it, and so far I have enjoyed working on it. The yarn of course is super soft and fluffy, also because it's an alpaca wool blend as far as I know, and it's a blown yarn, so it knits up really, really nicely. I'm hoping to have this massive shawl where I can just wrap myself up in. I know I can definitely do it with those 3 skeins that I have, but I already mentioned I have a 4th one. And with the other balls of yarn, I wanted to make a blanket, to have like a colour changing blanket, also stripes, to really use up all of this yarn. And I'm now wondering if I should leave the 4th skein for the blanket, or if I should put it in this. Mostly because I also don't know if I ever get round to making another one of these ever again, because it is very tedious in my opinion to knit on and to just constantly think about it. That I'm thinking, should I just invest the time now and make it the size that I actually want, or should I leave the other ball of yarn out of it, make the medium size, and potentially be unhappy, or not unhappy but not as happy as if I made the length that I actually wanted, and then make another Sophie shawl with in the biggest size. Again, I don't know if that is making any sense. My brain is working in very weird and mysterious ways quite often. So I am on the fence with this. But I still have enough time. I'm not even done with the first ball, so I have at least another ball and a half left to think about and to decide what I want to do. So those were all of my whips. Again, I have no yarn acquisitions, but next week a very exciting video is gonna come out where I take you with me to organize my stash, so stay tuned for that. Also, I don't know what else to cast on at the moment. I'm really happy with having one sweater on the needles and then a few other bits and bobs like lying and flying around. What I've noticed is that knitting and organizing my stash and trying to get rid of things, it made me very overwhelmed and almost anxious. So I am in this weird state of, do I want to cast on another sweater? Do I want to cast on something small like an accessory, or do I not want to cast on anything at all and just work with what I have at the moment? So it's very stressful right now for me, especially in my head, and it's just something that I have to think about, because obviously I also want to show you guys some other things, and I want to use the yarn once again that I already have in my stash, because I bought it with intention and I bought it with a project in mind. So I'm just very much like not knowing where I am at the moment, also headspace wise. But apart from the knitting, I started sewing again, or I want to start sewing again. I cut out a dress pattern. It took me forever. I despise cutting things out because it just takes me the longest, and it's not just like half an hour, it takes me like 1.5 hours to 2 hours, just because I'm never happy with how the fabric is lying on the ground. So the dress pattern that I bought is by Dressmaking Amore, I think it's called, and it's the Purl dress. It's a gorgeous design. I can't wait to sew it all up. I have this really lovely orange fabric. Actually, I have some leftovers. Hang on. This is the fabric. It's not as yellow, it's like a it's a burnt orange. It's just the light is, like I said, it's going crazy. It's been really foggy and cold the past few weeks, so that also doesn't help with the lighting because it's always so grey and kind of dead outside. Anyways, it's this really gorgeous burnt orange colour. I believe it's cotton. It feels a little bit stiffer than normal cotton yarn, and it crinkles in a different way as well. So because I bought this fabric quite a while ago, I can't really remember what it is and what I bought it for. But now it's got a new life. Like I said, the dress is already cut out. I just need to cut out the lining, and then I can start sewing it together and hopefully get some enjoyment back in that sense as well. So my living room is a little bit of a mess at the moment because yarn is just everywhere. Not everywhere, but in like corners where I normally don't have yarn, and fabric is just lying over chairs and stuff like that. Right, that is, I think, everything from my side. Yeah, I can't think of anything right now. Like I said, stay tuned for next week's video. I'm currently on a schedule where I post every Friday evening, so subscribe to my channel, like this video if you enjoy my content. Also put on the bell so you get notified when I upload my videos, and I mostly post on Instagram as well for the new videos and some updates here and there, so you can also follow me there if you want to and if you feel like it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely weekend whenever you're going to see this video, and I'm gonna see you next time. Bye!